From the studios on Ferry Boulevard in Stratford, Connecticut, home of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting and home of the Zuki and Ruggs show, we are here for our Super Bowl 51 edition, along with my partner, George Chalkus, known as Zuki. It's the Patriots and Falcons, brother. What do you think?
Oh, man, should be a great Super Bowl. Can't wait. What a classic we're going to have, in my opinion, man. Rise up, baby. It's all about the Falcons.
Yeah, a lot of people around here, though, beg to differ. A lot of, Patriot country kind of dominates the territory, but I really don't care because I'm backing my boys.
Partner, I'm so happy for you, man.
Since 81, brother.
I'm so happy for you.
1981.
I'm so, not 1881?
No, well, sometimes I feel that way, but I mean, let's try to break it down real quick. We had a couple of not really entertaining conference championship games.
Not entertaining at all. Brother, listen, if anybody doesn't know, as most of you know, this guy right here is a huge Falcons fan. Huge Falcons fan. Huge Falcons fan. And they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm so happy for this guy. This guy deserves. I'm so happy for this guy. First time in 19 years. And yeah, the championship games were lackluster, to say the very least. Nothing too entertaining. Let's be honest.
Kind of over early, both of them.
The only people that were entertained were Falcons fans and Patriot fans on championship weekend.
I'll be honest. I mean,
two blowouts.
Stunned. I was stunned by the NFC championship game. Now the AFC, it never stuns me when Bill Belichick comes up with a perfect game plan and just dismantles his opponent. But sitting there. Even at 17-0, 24-0, I'm still like, all right, well, they'll let them back. They'll let them back in it, no doubt about it. 17-0, they were up on the Niners a couple years ago in the AFC title game. Pissed that right away. I was totally expecting them to come back. Even when it was 31-0 and they scored and it was 31-7, I didn't think it was over until Julio Jones went beast mode and ran guys over for an 80-yard touchdown, and it was 37-7. At that point, at 37-7, when they answered immediately back, I said, okay, all right, we got it now.
Yeah, I was a little bit more optimistic. I felt with 24-0, even was it 27-0 as you said? Did it go to 27?
I think it went to 24 and then right to 31 and then 37 because Bryant missed an extra point.
That's right.
The only thing they really did wrong.
I felt the Falcons had it. They just looked like they had that killer instinct from the beginning. They just controlled the game. They dominated the game. And the Packers just had too many mishaps early on, man. You can't shoot yourself in the foot in a big game like that. And they did. They had turnovers, drop passes. Crosby shanked the field goal, which many Cowboy fans were wondering why he didn't do that the week before.
Yeah. And this is what happened. The Crosby field goal was big. The fumble obviously was enormous.
Set the tone.
This is what happens, though. Like, yeah, great quarterbacks can mask deficiencies in other areas. Mm-hmm. They really can. Rodgers can do it. Brady can do it. But at some point, it's going to catch up with you when you got Rakowski running for the end zone. It's not Eddie Lacy. It's not even James Starks. Not even Ty Montgomery because they knocked him out, third, fourth play of the game. He was carted off the field and he was done. And we'll get to that later because it's an undervalued part of the Falcon game plan is they hit dudes. I mean, they put guys out of the game. Yeah. People try to tell me, I try to listen to like the idiot Francesa trying to say how he doesn't know if the Falcons are a tough enough team. I'm like, dude, you don't watch any of our games, obviously, because they line up like meat wagons with these ambulances and when we play another team. I mean, we lay guys out. It's just how Dan Quinn teaches the game of football.
Dan Quinn's, yeah. All you got to do is look at the Seahawks, man.
There'll be Patriots carted off the field that rely on I'll put money on that. I won't put money on winning the game, but I'll put money on
hopefully
they're going to knock somebody out. I don't know if they can get TB. That's a...
Not that I would ever wish injury on
No. And the only... I wouldn't win the game. But,
that's right.
Only one time I ever saw him carded, and that was kind of a fluky thing. Guy fell into his knee from the Chiefs.
It's so funny? I just went to a comedy show last night at Mohegan Sun, and there was this comedian there named Godfrey. and he was just talking about, he was making a joke, obviously he's a comedian, and he was making a joke about Brady never gets hit. Brady, it just seems like Brady's in the pocket forever, just never pressure, he just stands there, he's got all day to throw the ball, and he was just making a joke about, it's got to be fixed, it's got to be fixed, no one gets to Brady, and that's going to be as we all know, that's going to be the key to success for the Falcons. All you have to do is look at the 2 Super Bowls the Patriots have lost. They lost to the Giants because of pressure. You got to hit Brady. You got to get to him. And the Falcons are a physical football team. And I think you're going to know early.
Yeah, first quarter sets the tone.
Yeah, exactly. Got to hit Brady. Got to get to him. Got to hit him. Easier said than done, though.
And you got to start on offense. You can't get your feet wet in this game. That's the one thing that really goes against the Falcons is they can't have a quarter to get their feet wet in the Super Bowl. They're a team that relies on early. They got to strike early. They got to get the lead. They got to play at a tempo that's quick and efficient on offense, score points quickly, pile up points, let the defense have a little bit of a break, because if they give up a score on the first drive, no big deal, because they're going to answer back or, kind of volley back and forth the lead. It's like, like if you think of tennis, you got to hold your serve. If you let the other guy hold his serve, it's no big deal. You didn't get your serve broken. The Falcons start punting the ball early in the game, or God forbid they turn the ball over early in the game, and the Patriots score. Then now they're really stuck in the mud. They're spinning their wheels. They're catching up. It's hard to win that way. I almost say they can't win that way, but it would be very difficult for them to have to come back from like 21-3, like the like say when the Cowboys did it to the Packers, they got down 21-3, but they were able to come back. They didn't have the defense stacked against them like Atlanta will with this New England defense. So they got to get the tempo set early. I think the game, a lot of it comes down to tempo. New England wants to. I think of like when your Bills played the Giants, dude, in Super Bowl 25. I think like the Giants had 40 minutes of time of possession. They took the Bills out of their game. When the Bills had their 20 minutes, the Bills had the ball, was the most beautiful 20 minutes of the game, because they moved the ball up and down the field.
Right.
They just couldn't pile up a lot of points because they had to settle for some field goals because the red zone defense was tough, and they just didn't have the ball enough.
Yeah, right. Well, the thing is this. I mean, in regards to what you were saying about the first quarter, they can't afford to fall behind early. If you look historically at the Patriots Super Bowls, the 6 that Brady's played in, now this will be his 7th. The first quarter scores have been low scoring. I believe it was like 3-0 against the Rams. The Giants ones were, I think, scoreless. And
Falcons don't want that.
Yeah, well, the thing is this, though. You just don't want to fall behind, either team. So if you're the Falcons and you take a quarter to feel each other out, historically it's not that bad. It's not exactly a bad sign for the Falcons. But you do ideally, yes, you love the Falcons to come out first drive, get Devontae Freeman going, breaking out some big runs. And then, obviously you'd love to hit Julio, get Julio some confidence, get Matt Ryan some confidence, and put the ball in the end zone, obviously. But, big Bill Belichick, he doesn't really allow that. You don't see that too much against him, man. He'll throw some schemes out there, and I think that the Falcons will have to adjust. Bill Belichick is a mastermind at forcing other teams to make an adjustment to play outside of their comfort zone. And so we're going to see with the Falcons, if that happens. Now, this could, perhaps this is the year where it doesn't happen. Maybe the Falcons come out early, they strike early. Great. But I don't know. History doesn't say that, though.
No, I agree with you. But the reason why it's so important, Zuki, it's not even the points. Falcons win because they kind of blitz you and pepper you for 3 quarters. You don't have anything left in the fourth quarter. Those teams, you look at the Packers and the Seahawks in the playoffs, some of the teams in the regular season, man, they're just dead in the fourth quarter. They're just standing around, their hands on their hips in the fourth quarter. And the Falcons are against the Seahawks. I remember they could have scored. They would have went into the 50-point range. They're taking knees on the 1-yard line of Seattle in the end of the game just to put mercy, put them away. I mean, that team was dead. They weren't putting up any kind of resistance. That's Seattle's defense. I mean, it's still they still got. Earl Thomas only was missing, and people try to tell me that was going to make the difference in the game. It was not, but would have helped them, but it was not going to change the outcome of the game by any means.
No, not the outcome. No way. But yeah, that's what happens when you have balance. And the Atlanta Falcons, they have a balanced attack. And this is why so many people are picking the Falcons. I think people realize the Falcons are not a one-dimensional offense. They can beat you in so many ways. They've got two great running backs, and Tevin Coleman is a tremendous running back. You put Tevin Coleman on a lot of other teams in the NFL, and he's a stalwart running back. He's a tremendous
remember people
back.
killing the pick too, and I can't understand it now. I mean,
well, yeah, it's come back to whoever the detractors are definitely.
I've had people say that Beasley wasn't a good pick. I've had people say when Coleman was picked, it wasn't a good pick. I mean, they're doing the job down there picking draft picks.
They've proven them wrong. But yeah, that's what balance does, Ruggs. As I was saying, partner. And I think the Falcons have a lot of ways to win this game. And I think they have a lot of weapons. Two great running backs, and can they wear out that Pats defense? Can they wear them down?
That's the key.
Right.
If they're playing in a 3-0 game, which is a punt fest, which it seems to be hard for me to fathom that the defense can hold Tom Brady like that for that long. But say it's 3-0 midway through the second quarter, it's still bad news for Atlanta, no matter who has the 3 points, because if they're not possessing the ball, that Patriot defense is going to be fresh in the fourth quarter, and I agree. That's danger.
I agree. Got to sustain some long drives. The Falcons need to get some drives, and they need to strike, and they need to establish some. They need to establish their dominance on the Patriots. You can't let Brady get comfortable. We can't have. It's a recipe for disaster. If you get conservative, you get tight, and you let Brady get comfortable.
Which is what the Steelers did, and we'll give equal time and fairness to the AFC Championship game. I mean, that's really it's not much to talk about. It was, Le'Veon Bell went out early. He didn't look like he was going to have a big day. I mean, just the first few times he ran the ball, the Patriots kind of had his act. They were able to set themselves in position so his hesitation running didn't really factor in. I mean, he had a couple of 2-3 yard carries, and then he was out of the game. I mean, it didn't look like he was going to run over them like he did Kansas City. Or
my Bills.
And Antonio Brown was getting doubled. He wasn't getting open. Guys were dropping passes that they shouldn't have dropped. Hamilton drops the one in the end zone.
The Pats put on a
clinic. The Pats just spread them out.
Yeah.
And just no huddled and hurried them to death. And the Steelers, who should have seen this hundreds of times on film and many times in person, should have been better prepared. I just don't know any other way to put it. And there's not that much to break down in the game, because that was really from start to finish. They turned it into the Chris Hogan show.
Hulk Hogan, what you gonna do?
Should be in Buffalo with your Bills.
Yeah.
They want to pay him the $5 million. It's a tender offer to keep him there, but
Too many.
But come on? I mean, people kill the Bills for that, but you don't know this guy's going to come on. I feel sometimes you could take any scrub on any team and he'll go to the Patriots and have
it was a salary cap situation with the Bills. And Doug Whaley and the Bills said that it wasn't a matter of them not wanting Hogan back. It was just a matter of the salary cap, and they felt as though if they gave him the $4.5 million or whatever it was, that they would have to make cuts elsewhere, and they felt as though it just wasn't worth it. Hindsight's always 20/20.
Right. I mean, you think of like Wayne Corbett. Look how that guy was a nobody. He came up, had his,
and it's not
a good couple of years of flash, and then they pay him, and look what happened. You never heard from him again. He dropped off the face of the earth.
I mean, also, let's not act like Hulk Hogan had a great year either, brother.
Yeah, no.
It's not like he had a 1,000-yard season and had this monster year. I mean, he had a great AFC title game, no doubt about it. I give him a lot of credit. But I think that was a reflection of just strategy by the Patriots. I think any receiver could have had a game like that. I think Brady and the Pats, they saw the holes in the Steelers' defense. They exploited them, and it just happened to be Chris Hogan's time.
And these guys never get hit squarely.
No. Listen, we've said with the Pats, Belichick and the Patriots, they look at the matchup. They look at your defense. Well, I give Josh McDaniels credit, too. I got to give him the credit. McDaniels, Belichick, they come together and they say, wait a minute. Okay, the Steelers, they're weak here, middle of the field. How are we going to beat them? Chris Hogan, Julian Edelman, just like Houston the week before. How are we going to beat them? Little dings to Dion Lewis. They got nobody ever on the outside that can stop Dion Lewis. Let's get him involved this week. They are masters at that. And they're going to do the same thing with the Falcons. They're going to look at the Falcons' defense. They're going to see the Falcons' weaknesses, and they're going to try to beat them in those ways.
They are. I mean, and I got to be honest with you, Zook. I heard this on another radio show, so I can't take full credit for it. But if you, they said if you redrafted these two teams, if you put them into one pool and you picked, like, say, the top 20 guys, probably 12, 13, 14 of those players that are picked are going to be Atlanta Falcons.
Oh,
they're a more talented team by far.
Agreed.
And yet they're the underdog. You know, it doesn't make sense until, you know, you break down all the other factors that are involved in preparing for a football game. This doesn't happen in other sports. I mean, no. Joe Torre, great manager for the Yanks when he was there through their run. Mm-hmm. You could put him up and put him on a little league team and face, you know, a team with better players coached by you and I. We're going to win. I mean, yeah, it matters when you make the pitching change. It matters which reliever you bring in. It matters when you hit and run, when you squeeze. Very important. I'm not trying to diminish that, but it's nothing like being the coach of a football team and how much you can play a part in the outcome. The coaches and coordinators can do it. And really, people are picking Belichick. They're not necessarily – and Brady. Belichick and Brady, they're not really picking the Patriots over the Falcons. They're going to one player and the coach and coaching staff. It's an interesting case because you normally don't have it broken down, and they're undervaluing, underrating, especially Dan Quinn. I mean, Kyle Shanahan has gotten his accolades over the past few months, but I don't know if the mismatch is as big as a lot of people. You hear like morons like Skip Bayless on Twitter, oh my God, it's going to be a blowout Patriots win. No way can they compete with Belichick and Brady. I'm like, they don't have you know, Larry, Curly, and Mo on the Falcons side either. There's
Ruggs,
some good
the thing is this, as we touched on last year, I remember we did last year's show with the Broncos and Panthers, and I saw another guy who makes millions of dollars who's on Fox Sports named Colin Cowherd, and he was just the problem is this lazy analysis and lazy comparison.
It is.
Because the problem is, and this is the problem with the mainstream media, which is why I don't give them a lot of validity. The problem is anyone can look back at history and make a comparison to today. Anybody could do that. I saw Colin Cowherd try to bring up last year's Super Bowl, and it was just so far-fetched and ridiculous. I didn't even know where to begin debunking it. I mean, he even tried to compare the fact that the Falcons were in the NFC South and the Panthers were in the NFC South. There's no correlation there. There's no means there to draw a comparison. The bottom line is this, okay? That the bottom line is the Falcons are a very good football team. They're underrated. No one talks about their defense, and I know they've got injuries, but the Falcons were 6th against the pass this year and 7th against the run, okay? This is not some bad defense. This is not some mediocre defense. This is not some – they're not here. They didn't get to the Super Bowl because of a fluke.
Right. And it's a young defense.
Just because of their offense.
It's a young defense, and they could make some big mistakes in this game. That wouldn't surprise me. If they got beat for a 50, 60-yard play because somebody didn't hold the responsibilities, wasn't in the right spot, that wouldn't shock me at all. But then you're going to have 2 or 3 possessions where the defense might be all over the place, and they might turn Tom Brady over. They might hit him. They might get a sack or 2 on him. You know, they got a lot of talent on that defense. It's just inexperience. So a lot of people want to say that that's how the entire game's going to play out, is they're just going to shred the Atlanta defense because they're, you know, ranked so-and-so and they don't defend the run very well because they're not stout at certain positions. Again, it's a lot of it's lazy analysis, like you said.
Lazy analysis. And this idea, I'm sorry, I got a lot of respect for LeGarrette Blount. You think LeGarrette Blount's going to pull an O.J. Anderson in Super Bowl 25? I don't think so. I don't see that.
I don't think McDaniels has the patience to do that.
No, I don't see that happening. So I heard, you've got all these theories about, LeGarrette Blount's just going to pound that run defense. Oh, well, yeah, I don't think so. He doesn't do that.
Maybe in the first quarter, Thomas Rawls looked great in the first quarter in the divisional round. Then what happened? 3 quarters did nothing.
I just, listen, and I don't want to hear about experience. Experience is a tool used by fools to make up for a lack, to overcompensate for knowledge. It really is. It's just, when you don't have knowledge or you don't know what to say or how to analyze these two teams, you just rely on experience. Oh, it's experience. It's experience. Tom Brady's got the experience. Belichick's got the experience. I don't want to hear it. Experience means nothing. I really mean it. I really mean it. Okay, it means something, but I don't think it's going to make or break the result of the game. I don't think anyone's going to watch the game and say, oh, well, geez, the Pats won this Super Bowl because this is Belichick's 7th Super Bowl or 10th as a friggin' coach because he was there as a coordinator before with the Giants. Yeah, it's nuts. But and Dan Quinn, this is his first head coaching job. His first time as a head coach in the Super Bowl. Oh, the experience really came through. I don't think so. I really don't think that's going to matter. It comes down to the best athletes on the field and the best players making big plays. And I just feel as though that we can't put too much on experience. Really, I really, because let's be honest. Look at the Giants. The Giants, when they beat the Pats the first Super Bowl.
Eli Manning never played in a Super Bowl before.
Exactly. So, and we've seen young guys beat the Pats before. We've seen the Jets. Mark Sanchez beat the Pats in the playoffs. We've seen the young Joe Flacco go into Foxborough and beat the Pats. Experience a little overrated in my book, in my opinion. And that's been a big talking point leading up into this Super Bowl. But all I know, while I was talking to you there, Ruggs, while I was going off on my little rant, my book is gone. You see my book anywhere? Where's my
I do not see it, Joe.
How about that, Kyle Shanahan? How do you get your playbook stolen, bro? You should be
here it is. Here it is. See the backpack over there. Sorry. I thought it was my backpack.
It's a Pat's backpack, too.
Oh, boy.
Wow. This has been, like I was telling you before the show, though, not too many things to discuss going into the Super Bowl.
It's low key, under the radar. That's the way the
BS.
Falcons have been all year.
Yeah,
Stay under the radar.
No Eugene Robinson.
No, you got Devontae Freeman's agent, the wife of 2 Live Crew, renowned singer there, trying to stir up some stuff about his contract. And, the timing's poor, but he's going to get paid. There's no doubt about it. But the very minor things for the Super Bowl week. And
Brady backs Trump. You got a couple left wings.
Yeah, but I mean he's been back. He backed Trump when the election was going on. So this isn't something new.
That's about Brady should be ashamed of himself. Stuff like that. That's about it. I think that's really it, though. I mean, it's nothing. No beef. No trash talking by either team.
There was a lot of respect going back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised to hear how much, at least he said, respect-wise for the Falcons coming out of Bill Belichick. You don't hear that a lot. So he doesn't really like a lot of the people he plays against, and he doesn't give them any false praise, let's say that. I mean, you certainly didn't hear him talking about Mike Tomlin and the Steelers in those terms, talking about how difficult of a challenge it's going to be to beat the Falcons and stop their offense. And, so that was kind of refreshing to hear. I mean, you don't know how much he actually means it. You don't know whether they think it's going to be an easy game. Because it runs the gamut with this game. This is what's so different about this Super Bowl than a lot of other ones in the past. You can listen to any talk radio show in America, any sports talk show in the country, and somebody will call and say the Patriots are going to kill them. The next guy calls and says, I think the Patriots are going to win in a close game because of the experience of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. The next guy calls, the Falcons are going to blow them out. The next guy calls, I think the Falcons will pull it out 27-24 right at the end. I think it's Matt Ryan's time, which also is ridiculous. To say it'd be somebody's time, they got to outplay the other guy and the other team. I mean, it's not just something that you sit in a waiting room and they just go, Mr. Ryan, you're next. It doesn't work that way. That's as ridiculous as the experience being blown so far out of proportion by Belichick and Brady. you can't get anyone to agree on how this game's going to go. And it's even, analysts that get paid a lot of money to, go on TV and tell you how you should feel about the game. None of them can agree either. I mean, you see a board with all the picks listed on them of all the major media guys, and it's pretty well split. And it goes away from one extreme with a big Patriot victory to the other extreme of a big Falcons victory, and then everywhere in between. And a lot of people are right around the line of like basically even money. And the spread that's started at 3, as far as I know, is still at 3.
Still at 3, hasn't moved. Yeah.
That means nobody in the professional underworld community can figure out how the game's going to go either.
No, I think it's a very safe bet. I mean, Pat's 3. I think that's a pretty safe bet.
And that's, in some way lazy bookieism there, because just like lazy analysis is, well, they're pretty even teams, but we're going to give the 3-point edge to Brady and Belichick because of their experience.
Yeah, I agree.
I could do that. I mean, sorry, I'm not trying to offend any of the guys in Vegas who, might put a horse head in my bet if I say the wrong thing. But, I'm a Paisan too, so, we can go at it someday if we, I don't sweat you. But, but that's just what they did. I could just sit there at the beginning after the thing. I think they're going to favor the Patriots by 3. That's probably what I would have said if you asked me right after the 2 title games.
That's what I said. That's what I thought.
If you really want to stake a lot of hard-earned money on that kind of analysis, I don't know, be my guest. But, I mean, to me, this one's a tough one to bet.
It really is, partner. I could see it going either way as well. Hard for me to see a blowout unless one of the quarterbacks has a meltdown. I mean, truthfully, unless Matt Ryan is throwing picks left and right, which unfortunately we've seen before. Not this year, but we've seen throughout his career. And unless
they just can't stop the Falcons' offense.
Yeah, or that too. And the Falcons are able to play like they did against the Packers. Listen, I will say this: the setting favors the Falcons in a way that it's a dome, it's a stadium, it's a Houston. Their kind of environment. Not that it matters.
I understand.
The Pats have played there before, but they'll be comfortable in that stadium. Their offense will be comfortable in that stadium as well. The fans, I think it'll be pretty even. I don't think the Pats are going to have a huge advantage there. I think
the Falcons will have the advantage.
I think the Falcons are going to have the advantage.
I'm telling you, people give a lot of flack to the Falcons, and rightfully so. Their home advantage could sometimes be not an advantage. I mean, go when Dallas comes to Atlanta. I mean, when Dallas comes to your town too, it's you know it because Green Bay or Pittsburgh, the Giants even. There's some teams that do that. But when the Falcons go on the road, you see a lot of Falcons people, a lot of places. And I'll tell you right now, it's Super Bowl 33 when they played the Broncos, and the Broncos are a big time draw. I want to hear about how Denver's in the top 5 of franchises and fan bases and all that. 2-1 Falcons in the crowd that day.
There were a lot of Falcon fans. Yeah.
They totally died. When they got out of the game, then you didn't hear them.
Oh, of course.
You heard all Denver. But that place, and it was Miami compared to Atlanta. It's a much shorter trip. Mm-hmm. But it's a much shorter trip to Houston from Atlanta than it is from Boston also. Atlanta will be well represented. I have no fear that they're going to get drowned out in the noise by New England.
Not at all. No, they'll be there, man. They'll be there. So, looking at it in that regard, I really believe that the Falcons should be comfortable. They should, in terms of home field, if you will, quote unquote. So, hey, partner, I think it's going to be a great Super Bowl.
I do too.
It's my birthday tomorrow on Super Bowl Sunday. I'm just looking forward to a great game. I'm pulling for the Falcons. I hate the Pats. I do, personally. But I really don't want to go throughout my life hating the Pats anymore. I just want to sit back. I appreciate these guys. They're a great organization.
Yeah, I agree.
They're the best organization in all of sports right now for the last, easily to say, 10 years. So, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy the Super Bowl. Whatever happens, happens. But I think we're going to have a great game. I really do. I cannot see a blowout either way. I've been wrong before, but I think we're going to have a great game. I think it's going to be a close one. And, I think the time for talking's over, partner. Prediction time, baby. It's prediction time. I'll go first since I'm not a Falcons fan.
Go ahead.
I'll let I'll let the Falcons fan close it out here. I've been racking my brain the last 2 weeks, really going nuts, thinking about it. and this is very tough for me to say, but I'm going to go with the Falcons. It's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be a great game. But I just I think the Falcons offense, they're going to be able to move the ball, and they have more than one way to beat you. See, if the Falcons were just a pass-happy team like the Broncos of 2013 when they faced Seattle, I think I would have gone with the Pats. But the Falcons are so balanced. They are not a one-dimensional offense. They can beat you in so many ways. And they've got great secondary receivers as well. So if you want to try to lock down Julio, which, good luck with that. But let's say they're able to lock down Julio like they locked down Antonio Brown, which, I think there's different circumstances there, or mitigating circumstances. But anyhow, let's say hypothetically, I think Ryan could get the ball and beat the Pats with Sanu, Gabriel, get other guys involved, get Coleman and Freeman involved out of the backfield. And I think the Falcons are going to be able to run the ball. Listen, I know Belichick is famous for shutting down the opposing team's greatest weapon. But what happens when a team has 4 great weapons? You can only take one away. And I just don't see how – I don't think it's going to be enough. And I like the Pats secondary. It's a very good secondary. It's talented. Butler's turned into a great player ever since that interception against Seattle. He's a very good defensive back. Obviously, they have McCourty, very talented team. But I think their line and their linebacking core it leaves you a little bit more to be desired. So I think the Falcons are going to be able to run the ball on the Pats, and I think they're going to be able to put points on the board. I think we're going to get some scoring. Listen, the Falcons' defense is not great. This is not a great defense, to say the very least. But and then the Pats are going to score, okay? I mean, they're going to score. I mean, they're not going to get shut out here. Brady's going to do his thing. I expect Edelman to have a good game. I really do. Let's see how much volume Blunt gets. Will Blunt have an O.J. Anderson-type performance in Super Bowl 25? We referenced that earlier. I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I can't see LeGarrette Blount having 30 plus carries, keeping the Falcons on the sideline, wearing out the Falcons defense. That's that type of recipe for success for the Patriots. I don't see that happening. But there will be some scoring. But I think the Falcons are going to be able to do it, and I do think this is the Patriots' last Super Bowl with Brady and Belichick. I really do. Brady's 39. The window's going to close fast. If you look throughout history, Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, those guys were really good at 39. They got to 40. It came crashing down. Despite what you Patriot fans may believe, Tom Brady's a human being. He gets old every day. He bleeds. He poops like you and me, okay? He's a human frickin' being, okay? And one of these days, it's going to be all over. I don't want to hear this stuff about he's going to play till he's 50. Stop it. Don't do that. You sound idiotic, okay? Let's operate within the realms of reality here. Point is this. I think it's over for the Pats. I think it's their last Super Bowl, and I think it ends for them the way it started for them. They lose on a last-second field goal by Matt Bryant, 31-28, Atlanta, and I think it's going to be a darn great game. I really do. Let's see if I'm right. I was right last year. I've got a pretty good history of Super Bowls, but I was dead wrong with that Seattle-Denver one. So we'll see. But I got the Falcons in a classic.
All right, brother. This game, it's very difficult to pick a winner and to break down everything you hear. But at its essence, it's a very simple game. One team's going to establish themselves through tempo. They're going to take control of the clock. They're going to move the football. Either you're going to see, a rapid up-pace tempo favoring the Falcons, or you're going to see a slower down game. Not that the the Patriots are going to take the air out of the ball. Like use a little play on words there. Tom Brady take a little air out of the ball, and run and play the time of possession game. That would lean definitely in favor of the Patriots if the game is played at that tempo. The Falcons, they don't want to, they're not playing hurry up as a gimmick. They huddle most of the time. They really don't go no huddle that often. The Patriots go no huddle more than the Falcons do.
Good point.
But they play at it. The Falcons played at a tempo. They make a play, they get to the line of scrimmage, they call the play, they run the next play, and they're moving forward every single play. If you watch a Falcons game and it's going well for them, they're moving the football forward on every play. They get into, it's efficiency. It's offensive efficiency, and the Falcons really have it. If they show that, if they're not going backwards on first down, setting up second and third and longs, if they're continually moving forward, I think they're going to be able to keep that up to, for the entire game. And I don't think it's going to be much different. They're not going to get to, they're not going to get into the 40s, I don't think. Maybe even not into the high 30s. But I see them getting enough points to be able to stay in the lead, keep Tom Brady under duress, and just they're going to have free rushers. They're going to be able to come at him and hit him. I mean, they may not get to him. They're just going to knock him down. Houston did that. It worked for a while. It just didn't hold up for 4 quarters, but 3.5 quarters, Houston was right there. They just didn't have the offense to go toe-to-toe. The Falcons' defense isn't as good as Houston's defense, but they got a lot of young talent. They got guys that are getting better by the day. And I think you could really see some good things out of them tomorrow. One thing I will say about both these teams, maybe the game you went to, Zook, was the only example maybe that you can't use, but these teams have played, 16 games apiece plus 2 playoff games. They've been in every game, both teams. They've won most of them, both these teams combined. I don't see how somebody's picking one team to blow the other out.
Yeah.
These teams just fight and scratch back. They're going to hang in there. This game's going to come to the fourth quarter.
Not to cut you off. Even the game I went to week 1 against Tampa.
They made a little run at the end.
They lost by 7.
Yeah.
And they looked... And that was the worst game the Falcons played all year.
I agree. And I think that anybody that says this game's going to be a blowout one way or the other, I think just isn't doing their homework. Basically, it'll come to this. I'm very much like Zook. Close Falcons win. I don't know if it's going to come down to I almost think it's going to come down to a late Matt Ryan touchdown pass. So I'll go... I don't know, Super Bowls get to be weird scoring now with the 2s and everything, but I'll go with an old-fashioned 34-30. I'll go 34-31 because they're going to have needed to get the touchdown to win the game. So I'll go 34-31 Falcons. And for everyone from Tommy Nobis, through Jeff Van Note and Steve Bartkowski and Gerald Riggs, all the way through Billy White Shoes Johnson, Deion Sanders, Andre Rison, all the way through this current group. Man, this one's for you because we got to get out of here. They're kicking us out.
Yeah, we got to go. All right, guys, enjoy the Super Bowl. Take care, everybody.